Drug addiction. Drug addiction happens when a person becomes dependent on substances that strongly affect the brain and nervous system. Drugs create intense dopamine release, producing pleasure and temporary escape from stress or pain. Over time, the brain adapts and begins craving the substance regularly, making self-control weaker. Many users eventually need larger amounts to feel the same effect, a process called tolerance. Drug addiction can damage physical health, relationships, emotions, and decision-making. Even when people want to quit, withdrawal symptoms and cravings make it difficult. Recovery often requires therapy, medical treatment, emotional support, and long-term changes in habits, environment, and mental health. Alcohol addiction. Alcohol addiction develops when drinking becomes emotionally or physically necessary instead of occasional. Alcohol reduces stress and increases relaxation, which can make people depend on it during emotional struggles. Over time, the brain becomes used to alcohol and requires more to achieve the same effect. This addiction can damage the liver, heart, brain, and mental health. Many alcoholics continue drinking despite financial, emotional, or social problems because withdrawal symptoms and cravings become powerful. Alcohol addiction often begins slowly through regular social drinking before becoming uncontrollable. Recovery usually involves detox, therapy, support groups, and learning healthier ways to manage emotions and stress without alcohol. Nicotine addiction. Nicotine addiction is commonly linked to cigarettes, vaping, and tobacco products. Nicotine rapidly stimulates dopamine release in the brain, creating temporary pleasure, calmness, and focus. However, the effect fades quickly, causing repeated cravings throughout the day. Over time, the brain depends on nicotine to feel normal, making quitting extremely difficult. Smoking also becomes connected to habits like drinking coffee, taking breaks, or dealing with stress. Despite knowing the risks of cancer, heart disease, and lung damage, many people struggle to stop because addiction affects both the brain and daily behavior patterns. Recovery requires breaking routines, managing cravings, and rebuilding healthier coping habits. Social media addiction. Social media addiction occurs when people constantly seek stimulation, validation, or entertainment from apps like TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. Notifications, likes, and endless scrolling activate dopamine systems in the brain, rewarding repeated use. Over time, users begin checking phones automatically without thinking. This addiction reduces attention span, productivity, and focus because the brain becomes dependent on quick stimulation and constant novelty. Social media can also increase anxiety, comparison, and emotional stress by exposing people to unrealistic lifestyles and non-stop information. Many individuals struggle to disconnect because online platforms become part of daily identity and communication. Recovery often involves digital limits and healthier offline activities. Gaming addiction. Gaming addiction happens when video games become a person's main source of reward, excitement, or escape from reality. Games are designed with levels, achievements, competition, and rewards that strongly stimulate dopamine in the brain. Over time, some players begin prioritizing gaming over school, work, sleep, or relationship. The brain starts finding real life less rewarding compared to gaming environments. Gaming addiction often develops when games are used to avoid loneliness, stress, or emotional struggles. While gaming itself is not harmful in moderation, excessive use can negatively affect health, focus, and social life. Recovery usually involves balance, time control, and rebuilding real-world routines. Gambling addiction. Gambling addiction develops when betting money becomes emotionally addictive despite repeated losses. Casinos, betting apps, and slot machines are specifically designed to trigger excitement and unpredictability, which strongly activates the brain's reward system. Small wins or near wins create dopamine spikes that encourage continued gambling. Many gamblers believe the next bet will recover previous losses, trapping them in a dangerous cycle. Over time, gambling addiction can lead to debt, stress, broken relationships, and emotional instability. Because occasional rewards reinforce hope, quitting becomes difficult even after serious consequences. Recovery often requires therapy, financial control systems, emotional support, and avoiding gambling triggers completely. Food addiction. Food addiction happens when people compulsively eat highly processed foods rich in sugar, salt, and fat for emotional comfort rather than hunger. These foods strongly stimulate dopamine pathways in the brain, creating cravings similar to addictive substances. Stress, boredom, sadness, or anxiety often strengthen emotional eating habit. Over time, the brain starts associating food with emotional relief and reward. This can lead to obesity, low energy, health problems, and emotional guilt. Food addiction is difficult because food is necessary for survival, making complete avoidance impossible. Recovery often involves mindful eating, healthier habits, emotional awareness, and reducing dependence on processed foods for comfort. Porn addiction. Porn addiction develops when excessive pornography consumption overstimulates the brain's reward system. Constant exposure to highly stimulating content increases dopamine release and gradually reduces sensitivity to normal pleasure. Over time, users may need more frequent or extreme content to achieve the same excitement. This addiction can affect focus, motivation, relationships, and emotional health. Many people use pornography to escape stress, loneliness, boredom, or anxiety, which strengthens the behavior psychologically. Because internet access provides endless novelty and privacy, quitting becomes difficult. Recovery usually involves reducing triggers, improving self-control, rebuilding healthy habits, and restoring balance in the brain's natural reward system through lifestyle changes. Shopping addiction. Shopping addiction occurs when buying products becomes a way to escape stress or gain temporary happiness. Purchasing new items increases dopamine levels, creating excitement and emotional relief for a short time. However, the feeling fades quickly, leading to repeated spending and impulsive buying. Online shopping, sales, and targeted advertising make this addiction stronger by offering instant rewards and convenience. Many people shop emotionally to cope with sadness, insecurity, boredom, or anxiety. Over time, shopping addiction can cause debt, regret, and financial stress. Recovery often involves budgeting, identifying emotional triggers, and finding healthier ways to manage emotions without depending on spending behavior. Work addiction. Work addiction, also called workaholism, happens when people become emotionally dependent on productivity and achievement. Unlike healthy ambition, work addiction causes individuals to ignore rest, relationships, and mental health in order to keep working constantly. The brain begins linking self-worth to success and productivity, making relaxation feel uncomfortable or guilty. Society often praises overworking, which can hide the addiction for years. Over time, excessive work leads to burnout, anxiety, emotional exhaustion, and physical health problems. Many workaholics struggle to disconnect mentally even during free time. Recovery involves creating balance, setting boundaries, and separating personal value from non-stop achievement and performance.